Hey guys, Barry. Gonna do a quick installation of the RPG 1.5 inch spring collars for the 2017 Ford Raptor. Got the RPG 1.5 inch spring collar laid out with some of the tools you would need to install. 3/16 Allen wrench to install the 2 Allen bolts that hold the collar in place. You're gonna need some Loctite also. I use just a regular screwdriver just to pry up the plastic cover that goes over the spring bucket. You're gonna need to get that out of the way. I also have a 19 mil, a 21 mil, a 27 mil, and a 30 mil socket. These right here are the stock, I guess you call it a shim, that holds the spring bucket in place. These have to be removed in order for the RPG collar to sit in there, and you can see how they both sit in there. Pretty easy installation. We're gonna see how quickly we can do this, but anyhow, we're gonna get to it. So we're gonna do things a little bit backwards. You're gonna see I actually already have the RPG collar already installed. We lost a little bit of footage, so we're just gonna basically uninstall to reinstall so you can see exactly how it would come from the factory so you can know how to install this thing. First thing we want to do is we're gonna have to disconnect the tie rod. We're gonna have to disconnect the sway bar link, and then we're gonna pop off the top part of the spindle so that we can free this up. And then the next step is to remove the bottom shock bolt. So I'm gonna get an 18 mil and a 21 mil and get right to this. Now, next step is to remove this big beast. Shout out to Harbor Freight Earthquake XT if so. All right, so looking at this now, the next step is I'm going to take a strap, like a ratchet strap, and hook it around the spring, go up through the firewall area around the fender liner. I'm going to connect it somewhere around the bracket for the hood. So I'll go around through here, make sure I'm not pinching any critical electrical components, just to support the spring, because as soon as we start compressing the springs and getting the spring compressors in there, the spring is going to want to fall. So we want to hold the spring up. And that's where this comes in. To probably like right here. Looks like nothing's probably gonna get pinched too bad. Let me connect down here, see where it comes in. Come in right through here. I'm just gonna connect the spring right there. All right. So now I'm just gonna put a little tension on there, just to hold it up. You don't need to put a ton of pressure. The whole idea is just to hold the spring. I'm just going to show you how I installed this. So I'm not removing the shock from the truck. Some people did that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put my spring compressors on each side of the, let's see, I want to go right here. I did this last time. There we go. I've got my spring compressors on each side of the shock. I also kind of threw the strap that I've got holding my spindle out of the way around that. These things can be dangerous, so be real careful with them. You don't want to go too fast. You don't want to go too fast on one side versus the other. Ideally, it'd be nice to have this off, but I'm going to try to show you what it looks like taking it off with it on. I don't like dealing with spring compressors. I've dealt with them before and seen them pop off, so be really, really careful. I'm gonna use a universal joint with a 3/4 inch wrench just to get in there because I can't get in there straight. Let's go real slow. As you can see, if you zoom in right here, you can see the space starting between your spring and your bottom, I guess you call it the spring bucket. We need to get enough space so this will lift off, and then we'll remove the RPG collar, and then I'll show you how how it's going to come from the factory. So when you install any sort of spring collar like the RPGs, how it will work. You notice you can start seeing a space between the RPG collar and the factory bucket. There's probably 3 millimeters of space now. As you can see, it's pretty loose now between the bucket and the spring, but I'm gonna go up a little more so we can make sure we got enough room. And this is what holds in place, holds the stock spring bucket in place. Now, I've already got the RPG spring collar on, so I'm going to remove it and show you what it would look like. You have to get the spring compressed to this point in order to get the lip of the RPG collar underneath. And if you zoom in right here, you're going to see, I'm gonna grab a screwdriver to show you, you gotta be able to get it right here. There's a space underneath there. I'm going to remove these. When you take your stock 2017 Raptor and you get the spring compressed, this is what it's going to look like. These are what hold the stock spring bucket in place. You have to remove these in order to install the RPG spring collar. So once you got up enough, these just slide right out, and these slide right into the grooves of that. Make sure that this area is clean. I actually had someone install these initially, and I'm not super happy with how they installed them, but regardless, I'm going to do it now just for sake of the video and to show how nice the RPG product is. They got a really nice anodized finish, as well as the machining on it is really nice. So I'm gonna face the RPG forward, just like that, so you can kind of see it from the front if you're looking. So I'm going to install these. I've already put some Loctite on there. Now that we've got the collar installed, we're gonna let out on the spring compressors, and it's gonna slowly let the stock bucket fall in place on top of the RPG spring collar. There we go. So now it's completely set. You can see it was kind of hung up on the edge. The gap is completely gone. And now the only thing left is just to remove the rest of the spring collars, take the tension off, keep going back and forth slowly. All right, we're gonna finish the installation now. Let's see. So we got the spring collar back down, spring compressors off, got the shock bolt started, and now we're gonna get the tie rod end back on, as well as the tie rod. We have everything buttoned back up. This is upper control arm is bolted back up. Shock is, tie rod in, sway bar link. Make sure when you tighten back your sway bar link that it is still perpendicular to the bottom sway bar link attachment. You want to make sure this isn't twisted. If it is, it's pretty easy just to take some vice grips on there and twist that. Make sure all your nuts and bolts are back to the factory torque setting. And this is completed. It's pretty easy. The hardest part, I feel like sometimes, is getting the stock bucket up. It's really not that hard to do otherwise though, with just your standard, you know, garage tools if you have some mechanical ability. But overall, very happy with the installation. RPG makes an awesome kit. I like the anodizing, like I mentioned before. The machine fit, how it goes together is really nice. I'll be curious to see how well it holds up over the winter time. Everything's gonna be part of the long-term review, I guess we call it, just seeing how everything in this truck holds up. Anyhow, that's it. Just gonna put the wheels back on, torque everything up, finish it up. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. More fun to come.